Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today we take a question and comment from Linwood Hieronymus. Now, he used to be KO4LQF. He has since replaced that with a vanity call sign of November 4, Foxtrot Zulu Zulu. Cool call. Okay, so he gives us a report on an update on his antenna issues. You'll recall we did a video about his situation where he had basically the only trailer in a trailer park that had no access to a tree. So he needed to put up a vertical or something. And here's what he has to say. You have helped me so much since I upgraded to General in January. I finally got an HF radio and am on the air. Did a lot of praying, and the landlord finally let me put up an SEHF X80 vertical HF antenna, and I purchased an ICOM 718. Have already made contacts on 40 meters to Canada, and Colorado being the farthest away so far. Well, congratulations, you're right on the air and getting the experience that you need to be on the air and to talk with other people. Let's see. Now, here's his comment and his question. Have been listening to stations talking on 80 meters. 80 meters, which is a bit of a cesspool. And they don't use call signs and are cursing, talking trash, etc. Does the FCC not monitor and or do any enforcement? Just wondering, and thanks again for all your help and videos. God bless, Linwood. There is a mechanism. For that. We used to have what are called official observers, who were stations that were appointed to listen around for this stuff and to send people advisories if they were not obeying the rules or something like that. It's always a little iffy because people who are doing this on purpose are already very defensive about what they do. Some people, if you point out that, really you're causing an issue, they'll stop. But a lot of people weren't listening to the official observers and only the FCC. The FCC is grossly overburdened when it comes to enforcement of popular services like amateur radio, where there are over 600,000 licensees, and they've got an enforcement bureau of 5 or 6 people. They can't possibly do it. So the FCC got with the ARRL, and the two worked out a new program called volunteer monitors. And what happens is it's a little more centralized, and the person responsible for it is a ham by the name of Riley Hollingsworth. He used to be on the FCC side in charge of enforcement. And it is said that he did more to clean up ham radio than any other person in the last 100 years, which means since amateur radio began. He's very into this new thing where he is the head of the volunteer monitors. You can volunteer to be a volunteer monitor, but you need to go through a vetting process. Because when listening to these people, what they're doing is looking at those for which they think they can, they're looking for those cases where they think they can put a case together that would hold up in a court of law. Now, the FCC cannot just issue speeding tickets or something like that, like your local highway patrolman can. It has to be worked out very carefully to double check exactly where the bad behavior is coming from. I mean, down to the house. If you want to get it down to the person, you basically have to catch them on the air. Now, when you're doing stuff like that, now you are in the realm of law enforcement. And amateur radio doesn't do law enforcement, the FCC does. So there comes a crossover point. So Riley has a staff of, I think it's about 80 volunteer monitors who tune around for this stuff. They will send a letter to the people involved. And believe me, somebody knows who these people are. And try to get them to stop their behavior. It, wastes valuable spectrum space that could be used by hams who would rather be there and observe the rules. All it takes is one bad apple to completely ruin the net. There's something about human nature, and we've seen a lot of this in the last few years, where bad behavior is far more interesting than good behavior. And it's unfortunate, but unfortunately true. So what the volunteer monitors do is they look at all the different cases, put together as best a case with evidence that they can, then take this to the FCC on a more formal basis, and the FCC will take it from there. There are enforcement actions going on. You'll read about a few of them a year. There are usually fines in the $10 or $20 or $30,000, plus the forfeiture of all equipment involved. So it can be stiff fines for doing this. But the problem with the signal on the radio is it's hard to discern where it actually comes from and so on. It's a problem, in other words. Fortunately, these miscreants have pretty much found themselves on the 80-meter band, and this is why I don't recommend 80 meters. There are, especially for beginners, there are perfectly good nets on 80 meters, but it's, I had one time was talking with some people on 80 meters who had a net going on. I just enjoyed it. They even had a website. And then as I listened to them more, they were using foul language, which is against the regulations, by the way. They were making statements that were inappropriate, racist, and so on. And I of course, didn't go back to them. There are all sorts of things. There's an amateur code of conduct. There's all kinds of things that these people are violating. They are amateurs because they hold licenses, but they're not amateurs in the sense of behaving themselves on the air. So I wish these people would get it out of their system some other way, but this is how they do it. Now, if I were to talk to one of these people today, I would get a ration of crap thrown in my face by them. Is, who are you to tell us what to do, when to do it, and so on? Well, these are the same kinds of people who think they don't need to obey the federal government or, stuff like that. I mean, there's so much evil wrapped up in it. And fortunately, they tend to stay on 80 meters. So if you're looking for a net and it is the kind of thing you don't like, make a note of the frequency. You might send a note to the volunteer monitors. You can find, I think it's a web form on the ARRL website to send these on. And again, it was the FCC that asked the ARRL to form this organization. And there was a lot of cooperation between the two organizations. It moved at the speed of government, which means it took months to set up, but it is up, it is running, and they do issue reports so that we know kind of what's been going on the last little while. So, Linwood, I'm really sorry to say that there are pockets of frequencies here and there where you will find, I'll just call them evil people because I think that's what they are. And they don't want to obey rules. They don't think rules apply to them and so on. Don't try to engage them on the air because What is it they say? Don't wrestle with the pig because you'll get very dirty and the pig enjoys it. So you just leave them be. Let the volunteer monitors work on them. If you want, file a complaint with the volunteer monitor organization. There's a process. So there you have it. I wish I had better news for you about the volunteer monitors, and I wish that there were some way. By the way, this is not a new problem. This has been there for decades, many, many years. People who think they're above the law, and they do a variety of things, and it's unfortunate. That's why I don't recommend 80-meter antennas. I say start with a 40. The reference station antenna is 40 and 20, okay? Is to keep newcomers away from the depth of this filth that they put out there. Every hobby has got its miscreants, no matter whether it's aviation, ham radio, stamp collecting, whatever it is. There are people who think they are a law unto themselves. I'm sorry, Linwood, that you had to put up with this. And I encourage you to look for the good in ham radio. Because if you look for the bad, you'll find it. That's true in any endeavor in life. But if you look for the good, you'll find that too. That's also a truism. You find what you look for. And if you're looking for good people, you'll find them. There are lots of them out there. There's a lot less of this on 40 meters. There's some on 2 meters. Often a repeater will come under attack, and there's not much you can do about it until the FCC can, move at the speed of government to get this thing taken care of. So there you have it. I wish I could be a little bit more positive. I want to introduce a new feature of this channel. My study, my shack here is filled with books and gadgets I've accumulated from having this channel, and it's time to thin the herd, so to speak. I'm announcing my first giveaway to hams in the USA, and I say in the USA simply because of shipping costs. The item to be given away this time is a book called Novel Antennas. It's HF Antennas from the Radio Society of Great Britain. I think I picked it up at Dayton in 2019. Here's how the giveaway works. It's totally free to you. Send a postcard, QSL card, or simple one-page letter by snail mail to P.O. Box 98, Ridgeway, Colorado, 81432. On whatever you send, make sure to include the giveaway number, in this case number 1, your name and call sign and shipping address. Now, I will be shipping by the post office. Please include your phone number in case I have questions. Please, nothing else. Although, if you want to send a picture of you and your station, I may be able to show those during the live stream. Electronic submissions will not be accepted. The drawing will take place on the live stream held on Thursday evening U.S. time on August 26th. Note that I pay the book shipping, so it's all totally free to you. I hope to do something like this every month. Note that after the drawing, all entries will be discarded and no information will be kept or transcribed. So there you have it. If you would like to help support this channel, you may do so by going to dcasler.com/support and picking a way that you find most helpful. Please also subscribe and click the bell and click like. Don't forget to comment. Until we next meet, 73.